17 games on a loaded MLB slate for a little hump day action. Which of those games can we be betting on, though? That's what you want to know. That's what you're here to find out, and that's what you will find out here live on First Pitch WagerTalk TV. Dan Alexander hanging out with you, and joining me, I got Mark Zinno and Adam Trigger. We're going to be breaking down Boston versus the Kansas City Royals, Houston, and the Rangers, Yankees, Angels. We'll talk the doubleheader between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Cleveland Guardians, and we'll talk some Marlins Reds as well, alongside some questions we got from our live viewers. If you're tuning in live, make sure you hit that like button, you're subscribed, and you hit that little bell. If you're tuning in on social media, that follow button is all we ask you to hit. Zinno, let's get right into it. Boston, Kansas City. Kansas City looking to avoid that home sweep now as they're facing off against the Red Sox. And Mark, largely, that's in part to this bullpen that just keeps giving away games. The challenge that happened in the sixth inning off a wild pitch was the difference maker in this one. But I'm wondering how you see this one shaking out. Do we just keep fading this bullpen any way we can? And maybe that means runs in the back half of this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, runs seems to be the key here. I mean, you've had a bunch of them scored the first two games. The Red Sox have scored 15 over the first two. The Royals have scored 10. We know how good the Royals are at home. Top 5 scoring offense in Major League Baseball at home. They continue to produce runs and have in this series. As you mentioned, their bullpen is bad. But I'm also looking at a Red Sox team that up against lefties this year on the road, number 1 in OPS, number 1 in WRC+, 4th overall in batting average. And Cole Reagans is a lefty. Between him and Cutter Crawford, by the way, neither one of these guys can win a game. Well, their team can win when their starters on the mound. Cutter Crawford is below 500, so is Cole Reagans. When as far as the team's records are below 500 when they start on the year. So all that considered here, the ERAs aren't too high, but there's enough offense here for both of these teams to get over our standard 8.5. I know it kind of feels weird to take a third straight over in a series. It might be a little bit hesitant, but you have decent weather coming in for this game tonight, and I think the ball will be flying out of Kaufman, and we're certainly going to get plenty of runs between these two.
Hey, Zinno, we don't care sharp, square. All we care is that we have a winning ticket. And Zinno thinks the winning side of that ticket out of the gate here is going to be going with the over in Boston. And you can hop below in the comments. Let us know what overs you're eyeing here today. Trig, you've become like Mr. First Pitch. I had you fill in since my flight didn't work out for me yesterday. We got you on 3 straight shows, and you're back here again. I do hate to warn you, though, Trig, as you are back with us, I am back in my home studio where I do have the bell. I will not use the bell if I don't have to, but the chat will be happy to know the trigger bell is back and live. But, man, let's start off with game 1 here for you as far as the Diamondbacks and the Guardians are concerned. Starting pitching matchup in this one, pretty intriguing, I would say. We got Brandon Pfaadt against Ben Lively in this one. So let's just kick it off here with game 1. How do you see this one shaking out? And this is the earliest game on the board, so our early viewers will be excited about this one. If you're joining live, don't worry. We'll allow you to scroll past us. But 110, Diamondbacks, Guardians, what do you think?
Yeah, so this is a 4% play for me. I'm on the Diamondbacks. Now, for those viewers that watched yesterday, you're going to say, but Trig, you made a case for the Guardians yesterday. And yes, I did. But Arizona's so hot right now that even the weather plays out in their favor. Because the main reason that I used the Guardians for a big game breakdown yesterday and leaned their way was because Arizona was going to be without 3 of their top bullpen arms, who were all kind of like on a, it was a usage situation. So the day off really helps them in that capacity. And now we get a different pitching matchup, at least a different pitcher for the Diamondbacks, which I think really, really favors Arizona. And I'll get into that in a second. First, there's no denying Arizona's the hottest team in baseball right now. Last 21 games, 16-5 in their last 21 games. It's the best mark in the MLB in that span. 6.3 runs per game. It's the best mark in Major League Baseball in that span. And it's another right-handed pitcher on the mound for the Guardians, which means Jock Peterson. The Jock Peterson show just rolls on probably, Dan. He has been on fire. He's batting .409 with 5 homers and 12 RBIs in his last 5 games, and he's really benefited from Torey Lovello kind of putting him in a platoon situation and not having to face left-handed pitching, it's probably working out in his favor that he's a veteran anyway. So he's getting days off against lefties. And it's allowed him to have one of the highest OPSs in the league this year because he's facing primarily right-handed pitchers. And he's going to get another right-handed pitcher today in Ben Lively, who, I got to be honest, I've said this before. I've been wrong about Lively. He's had an incredible season. Almost unfathomable to me, having watched this guy for 3 years in KBO, that he's doing what he's doing in Major League Baseball this year. Lively had a 5.05 career MLB ERA prior to this season. And what has he done? He's come out and allowed 3 runs or fewer in 17 of his 19 outings this year. But this has now become a very, very bad spot because of the rain. Reason being, Ben Lively is totally reliant on his command. He does not throw hard. He barely breaks 90. I think he tops out at 91 on his fastball. But the reason he's had so much success is he's just commanded his pitches brilliantly. He hits the corners, he lives on the corners, and it's allowed him to have as good of a season as he's had. But one thing that can really mess with a pitcher's command is getting geared up for a start, getting rained out, and then having to pitch early the next day. So that, I think the rain out potentially created a really tough spot for him. And what I've noticed, Dan, when that happens to pitchers, sometimes it takes them an inning or two to figure it out. Arizona has 79 first inning runs this year. It's second only to the Yankees. They're good at getting on base. They're good at jumping on teams. And I have a feeling they could end up with the upper hand here if it takes Lively a little bit of time just to kind of settle in. This was always going to be Brandon Pfaadt's day, so he's not put off by the rain at all. And he's been outstanding. He wasn't the starter last night. The starter for last night's going to start game 2. So this is just Brandon Pfaadt on his regular day. Last 6 starts, he has a 2.62 ERA, 32 strikeouts and 4 walks. The Diamondbacks are 5-1 in those games. I had a best bet winner with Pfaadt on Friday in a game they beat the Pirates. And I think he puts them in a good situation here. So I talked about the D-backs bullpen now being rested. They're very deep, bringing A.J. Puck and some of the other arms they now have. The Guardians bullpen, as good as they've been this year, hasn't been great lately. 14 earned runs in 19.2 innings pitched in the last 4 games. I do think the day off helps them as well, but that's more of a, coming back to earth type scenario than I think rest. So I don't really know that the day off does as much for the Guardians as it does for Arizona, who, has a bunch of good relievers. They were just overworked. So I really, really like the way that this sets up now for Arizona. They've been the hottest team in the league. And I think they're gonna.
Rodriguez and Carrasco, quite the difference in what we'll have in the bump in game 2, and that one's going at 4:40 today. So game 2 of Arizona Diamondbacks and Guardians. How does Trig see it shaking out?
Yeah, so I'm really hoping I'm right about game 1, because if I am, then I'm not going to have a play personally in game 2. If Arizona loses game 1, especially if they lose a close game, I may have to just come back and try to get my money back in game 2. I think it was like even money in game 1. So I think, as long as I split this doubleheader, I should either come out slightly ahead or even. But the reason, I think if the Guardians were to win game 1, I think you could see maybe the B team for them, in game 2, especially as it pertains to their bullpen and their relievers. The reason being, Mark, they've got another doubleheader on Friday, and it's a far bigger one than this for them because they have a doubleheader with the Twins, who are going to be probably their primary competition in this division. In this game, so now you're going to get who was supposed to be yesterday's starter, Eduardo Rodriguez. It'll be his first appearance of the season. I totally forgot Arizona paid this guy in the offseason. 4 years, $80 million, and this is his 2024 debut. He had a lat injury in spring training that he kind of re-aggravated, and he hasn't appeared all year. And so you go back to 2023, and I don't know if it's because he was stuck on a bad team, but another thing that I just think has flown under the radar is how good this guy was last year. 3.30 ERA, 1.5 in 152 innings pitched. His 648 OPS was the lowest of his career. So I don't think he's going to go deep here by any means. I'm a little concerned that he's had almost no rehab. He's only thrown 4 simulated innings at the spring training complex, but I think Arizona just needs him now. And I think they're willing to, rather than have him go through the full rehab, I think they're willing to just kind of let him go 3 innings and build up, which is fine here because now with the off day yesterday, they have all sorts of pitching. If Rodriguez gives them 3 or 4 innings here, they're going to be fine. And Rodriguez's career numbers against the Guardians, a team he faced 5 times last year when he was with the Tigers, 5-0, 1.26 ERA. So he knows how to attack this lineup. And I think he's totally fine once through here, which I think is going to be the plan. I think Arizona's going to go once through the order with him, and then it's probably batter by batter until they find a spot to go to the bullpen. The far better setup than what the Guardians have, which is Carlos Carrasco, who really is only still in this rotation because of injury. His command was terrible last week against the Orioles. He was so lucky to get out of that start, only allowing 1 run. He walked 4. He was in trouble, and they took him out before they could really get to him. But in his last 7 starts, 5.77 ERA, just not a guy that you want to back. So for me, game 2 is going to depend entirely on the result of game 1. But if Arizona does win game 1, I lean toward the over in game 2 because the D-backs have to travel back home to face the Phillies tomorrow. I think you could get their B team if they win in game 1, and you might see some of the lesser relievers. So I'm hoping I get the win in game 1, and if that's the case, there might be some runs in game 2.
Over in game 2, but wait to bet until you see what shakes out in game 1. The doubleheader breakdown in there from our man Adam Trigger and Zinno. I gave you enough time with Trig breaking down both of those for you to research the entire Yankees history. So you can dive as deep into the annals of history as you need for this one. But Yankees and Angels, they also had the rain out yesterday, and for the Yankees, it's kind of like, damn, we had to stop this momentum that they had because it was a 10-23 skid that they had. Since then, it's been 7 wins in 8 games. So an opponent like the Angels is a great team to potentially stay hot against. Interestingly enough, we saw the Angels as favorites before things changed yesterday, and that's not what we're seeing here today. So game 1, game 2, any thoughts that you have here as far as Angels and Yankees are concerned? The other doubleheader we have.
Yeah, the only thing longer between Eduardo Rodriguez's starts was Trig's breakdown of his entire career. So, that's I love you, baby. This is a tough look. Here's what's tough about this game to bet. The pricing all over the place is just there's no real value anywhere, or just the juice is so exorbitant. The Yankees are a 3-1 favorite in the first game. They're minus 315, I think it is, somewhere in that range in game 1. Like, just exorbitant numbers here in spots that you can't even back. So you can't take the Yankees. Even if you're going to take the first 5 and cut it in half, you're still playing close to $2 on it. The easiest thing I can do, and I don't know if you're going to see this line, because typically sometimes in big spreads like this, they don't put it out there. But the Yankees team total, even at 4.5, is still close to minus 150. I think it's like minus 145, which is a lot of juice to pay for a lot that could go wrong. Could you go alternate and go over 5.5? Maybe. It's not a plan I always like to do, just because, again, if Heel is on like we expect him to be, and the Angels aren't scoring, the Yankees offense doesn't have to do much here in game 1, and they may pull some starters early if they're up big to get him fresh for game 2. If they offer a Luis Heel to get a win prop, that's probably the way to play it, because you will be paying close to even money. That's usually an even money or a plus money prop. It doesn't matter what the rest of the line is, because a lot of things could go quirky, that he's just taken out of the game, or again, he's shortened, whatever, rain. There could be rain in the forecast again. The Yankees might not get both of these games in regardless. So that's the way I would sort of attack this thing. Those lines usually don't come out until closer to first pitch because of the volatility in them. And so the risk that, bookmakers don't want to take. So I haven't found it yet, but I've been searching diligently. If you can get Luis Heel to take a win, that's probably the way I'd attack this thing. Or again, do your best to try to find a Yankees team total prop with juice that's manageable. It's the only way I can really attack this thing in game 1. Game 2, as we bury the lead here, which is bonkers. Unless you were paying attention last week when Garrett Cole got scratched, or you follow the Yankees closely, you have no freaking idea who Will Warren is. Okay? Will Warren is the starter in game 2 for the Yankees, and they are a minus 270 favorite with Will freaking Warren on the mound. Unbettable. Unbettable. Like, just do not touch. I know the Yankees are probably going to win the game, but I am not putting any money on a guy named Will freaking Warren. He sounds like an accountant. He looks like a plumber. I'm not backing him, and he doesn't belong in the Yankees rotation. So there is that. But yeah, that's just insane. That kind of number that's out there. Again, even in the first 5, if you wanted to do it, you're still paying minus 150, minus 160, if not more than that. So the numbers are way out of whack in this series. The odds makers have totally skewed the Yankees. Strangely enough, the Angels are probably going to win a game in this series, just a question of when. All that aside, look for some home run props. I mean, you're better off taking Judge to hit a home run in both games, right? Like, just do it individually. In the game 1 and game 2, he's probably hitting going yards somewhere today, and you'll get a bigger payout on it. So tough series, tough doubleheader to bet today.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Eyeing some potential home run props in that. Typically, we call them the needle in the haystack bets. They're fun when they hit, but they're definitely sprinkles. Any of them that the chat is eyeing, we'd like to hear about it. David Talk over on YouTube Short saying, listen to Zinno, do not bet it. It's the looks like a plumber, do not bet play. The price just keeps me off. That's what I mean. Do I want to bet the Yankees? Sure, but even parlaying them together today isn't getting you a terrific payout. So, I'm right there with you on that one, Zinno. Speaking of the chat, shout out to him. Save the Clock Tower, the real DMarque, Julio Robles, Alfred 44. My man Lord Farquaad is back hanging out with us for the first 30 minutes. Rich Filkins in the house. Arius, hey, he wants to hear about the A's and White Sox. Talk about that here. Lord Farquaad, of course, saying, go crazy, Mark. They're loving what they're hearing from you. And Wisconsin guy saying, hopefully we hear from Patty today. That's right. Patty Johnson may check in. You gotta stick around. You never know when the sloppy parlay will show up for you. But let's talk with Arius and the game that he's eyeing, because we do have Trig on, who almost called his shot. If you follow him on Twitter at TopFlightSI, the Chicago White Sox, he was saying, this cannot continue. I will not stand for it. My plus 1.5 boat has to cash in outright eventually. Trig, the streak is over. And now the White Sox will try and do something that they haven't done in months. And that's, much like Frank the Tank, go streaking through the quad. Can they make some win streaks strung together here? All it takes is one to get rolling here. Zinno says it's yes. Do we just
honestly,
has things changed?
I was gonna say, my blood is boiling just with this game getting brought up, because I didn't have the balls to come back and play it yesterday after I talked about it on multiple shows.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I honestly, that might have been the most mad I've been at myself this entire season so far, including like games where I've, given out a play and it's lost by 50. Like, the fact that I didn't come back and play the White Sox after I set it up for 2 days yesterday. I gave it out as best bets on shows and stuff, but I didn't play it for my clients. I will not forgive myself for that.
Trig, if I thought there was anyone
here,
if there was anyone who was going to be on the money line, it was Adam Trigger. Like, Zinno, what the hell are we doing? Like, he's Mr. White Sox. When we talk about the White Sox when he's not on the show, we talk about Trig.
I was so put off by the effort on Monday night, or the lack thereof, that I just was like, I don't even know if I can come back with it. And then it got to minus 110 for the plus 1.5. And I was like, how am I not taking this? And then, like, right before game time, it got slammed, moved like 20 to 30 cents. And I was like, yep, I missed a win. And sure enough, it was as easy as it gets. The A's are getting Mason Miller back today, though. So if you're betting that game, you should know that he is likely at the back end for the A's today.
I don't care.
What about you,
This is the ultimate anti-swagger spot here for the A's.
Embarrassment,
right?
yeah.
No one is going to think that the White Sox are going to win 2 in a row. And it's the perfect spot to bet them again against this team. We talked about it on the morning wager. Absolutely, I would only play the White Sox plus 1.5 today. That's it. I wouldn't do anything else. I don't think it's a terrible play at all. Trig, I'm surprised that you aren't on board. It's a perfect Brian Power pick, by the way, to play the White Sox today.
It's so true.
I'm just personally, I've seen a good amount of Davis Martin at AAA for Charlotte, and he's just not a guy like I said. I royally screwed up this series. because Cannon was the guy that I would have wanted to play on. He's the one that won. And it's like I lost with Kai Bush on Monday, who I do like. Davis Martin's just not the guy I would pick here, and Estes is a better pitcher at this point than Stripling. So like, if I didn't play it last night, I can't come back with it here. That's my sort of reasoning as to why I don't want to be on it. And then of course, the A's are getting a pretty key bullpen piece back where if they're in the lead late, they're probably going to win the game. I expect Miller to be fine. I don't think that injury is going to, cause him to not be good when he's back at the back end there.
Yeah, and, with Bet On It coming back right around the corner, that's right, football begins, what is it, tomorrow? We already got preseason action, and I bring up Bet On It because Marco always talks about, the dream crusher spot after a team that has all these aspirations. It absolutely, the team loses, they're out of the college football playoffs, or they're out of potentially clinching playoff position in the NFL, calls it the dream crusher spot. This is almost like the embarrassment spot, right? It's like we were the team that looked history in the face, and then we handed this team a win. So hey, if you believe in maybe some demoralization there, that could be the way to bet this one and look for the White Sox to get things going and start a streak of their own, a positive streak, something they haven't had much to talk about since the calendar said June on it. Hop below in the comments. Let us know. Is it a stay away? Do you believe in the demoralization? We want to know what you're thinking. Or is that game so damn ugly? As Arias said, it's the D-Gen special, and only the D-Gens are going to be betting that one. Brian S. pointing out A's shouldn't be minus 200 to anyone. Trig goes, or Tyler goes, Trig got us all in the White Sox yesterday. He should be happy at that at least. So you got winners for the folks, Trig. So maybe you didn't boon your own bankroll, but the viewers of this show
I
knew.
said mad at myself. Always happy for people cashing ticket. Mad at myself is what I said. Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm always happy when it leads you to a winner.
We'll allow it. And all right, gentlemen, let's talk. We had this one up in the chat, and I was going to talk about it. And even if nobody asked, I would have brought my burner account on so we could talk Phillies Dodgers, because the Phillies are finally playing a little bit of baseball again. Took the trip out here to the West Coast to find it. But it seems like when the back would be against the wall, or maybe when they're playing some quality opponents, is when they find their best baseball. Dodgers, could we argue that they haven't been at their best heading into this series? Sure, but Phil's Dodgers, Phillies have already locked up the win here for this series. How do you see this one shaking out for you, Zinno? 10-10 is when this one's starting.
I think we get runs tonight. Look, I have no problem fading playing against any Dodgers starter, because I just generally don't think they're all that good. So I'm not necessarily worried about the Phillies being able to score off Gavin Stone. And then also you have Tyler Phillips on the other end, who has only made 4 starts this year. He's been okay in 2 of them and not okay in the other 2. So it's hard to know really what you're going to get from him. But all that said, I just, after staying under 8 in both the first 2 games, I think we get a lot of runs here. Now, look, if the Dodgers are going to avoid, being swept here, losing the series rather, then they're going to need to score runs in this thing. So I think we get a bunch of runs here. I'd go over 8.5, or is it up to 9 right now? I've seen different numbers out there trending in that direction, but I think there are a lot of runs scored tonight is the way I play it.
Trig, you have any thoughts there in that one for this Phillies and Dodgers matchup here? I was just trying to pull the odds for him here over on the WagerTalk live odds screen. It's looking like we do have 9s painted across the board. Under actually looks shaded. 115 is kind of the consensus line that we're seeing towards that under on the key number. Any thoughts on that one for you? If not, we're going to talk Padres and Pirates coming up here for Arias. And folks, we do have best bets coming your way here in just a few moments. Marlins, Reds, and we'll talk Houston and Rangers. So 2 best bets coming your way alongside what you can find with these guys at WagerTalk.com. Currently got the special, buy 2 months and get August free. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But Trig, Phillies and the Dodgers, if you don't have anything on that, we'll swing into this Padres and Pittsburgh game. What do you think?
Oh, I just wanted to agree with Zinno. I think he's absolutely on the right track with the over, and I'm going to throw some stats out that support that. So the first thing is just more of my opinion, but I had Phillips rated off of his time at Lehigh Valley, and I expected more what we saw against the Mariners than the first couple starts. I think he shut the Guardians out. Like, that was baffling to me. So I still think he's a guy that probably is more like prone to giving up runs than throwing complete game shutouts. The Dodgers this year, rookie starters have an ERA over 5 against them. So I think that's important. And the Phillies, their projected lineup for today, Dan, is hitting over 400 against Gavin Stone. So do what you will with that. I think that sort of like suggests that there's probably going to be some offense from two very good offenses. All things considered, two very good offenses. On the other side, we have Padres, Pirates, and I'll just go back to what I've been saying about the Pirates for weeks. I don't think this is a playoff team. I think this is a team that's gotten their overall profile bumped considerably based on the fact that they have a generational talent on the mound every 5th day in Paul Skeens. So it would be Padres or pass here for me. I wasn't dying to lay minus 160 on the road with the Padres, especially after a win, especially after they had to kind of, I think that game, I didn't watch much of it, but I know it took quite a long time yesterday. There was some rain that delayed that one. But the whole thing for me with the Padres.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
This is baseball karma coming at you, because that game should have never started last night. And the conspiracy theory is that the Pirates wanted Dylan Cease out of there early. So they started the game, let the rain delay happen, knew he wouldn't come back, and they got shut out anyway. Now they're going to lose again today, because that's the baseball gods giving you the middle finger going, yeah, nice try. Now you're going to get smoked again today. Love the Padres' first 5 today. Love the Padres' first 5.
Yeah, listen, Mark, I'll say this, and I still think they're the best team in the National League. I've been kind of talking about this for a month. If they're not the best, they're one of the best. And I'm pretty much done betting against this team because the market has not acknowledged that yet. And if this was the Dodgers or if this was the Phillies on the road in this game, they'd be minus $2, right? For whatever reason, the market does not, or the odds makers don't have the Padres in that same category, even though they should be based on the moves that they just made, and now to lay $1.55. So I'm with you, Mark. Padres or pass, first 5, full game. I think they probably find a way to get it done.
Some thoughts there on both of the Pennsylvania squads coming up here today in MLB action. Mark Zinno, let's talk some best bets, because I don't know what's been in the water on the morning wager, but you and BP are on frickin' fire. I think he's coming off a 5-0 night cash, or a 3-0 night, excuse me. He cashed in his 5% play. You are just on a measly 8-0 MLB run. Been seeing it great this past week, 9-2 overall. You got a 2-pack up for the folks that they can find over at your page. So tell them about that, and also tell us, how the hell are we betting this Houston and Rangers game? Are we splitting this thing in half? What do you think, Zinno?
Yeah, listen, 8-0, seeing the board really well. The only thing I'm not seeing well is the leaderboard, obviously, because, the gorilla math of being undefeated somehow doesn't put you at the top of the leaderboards. But I digress. WT.buzz/MZ is a place to go to get more of this continued winning over there at WagerTalk.com. All right, back to the Astros and Rangers. One of the plays I gave out yesterday on the morning wager was the Astros money line against the Ranger with Framber Valdez in the man, because Framber is the color of your energy. And almost threw a no-hitter. That unreal. Usually I'm on the other side of those games where I pick the team to win and they get no hit, but nonetheless. Houston Astros gave up a ton to get Yusei Kikuchi, and, well, we're going to get a little Kikuchi coup here because backing him once again today against the Rangers here in the first 5 against Jose Urena. That's where more of this handicap is, fading Urena, who, again, is getting a start here. He was a starter at the beginning of the year, got relegated to the bullpen. Now, due to injuries and everything else, he's back in the starting rotation. He has not done well as a starter this year. His last time out against Boston, 4 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs. His numbers as a starter are way worse than they are as a reliever. Even though you look at his numbers at home and you see that 2.55 ERA, a lot of that is as a reliever. not as a starter. Once you get this guy going 2 and 3 innings, it all goes off the wagons for him pretty quick here, and I expect that's what's going to happen. Texas isn't scoring anywhere on planet Earth. They're back to that team that we just can't trust offensively. So you get a dominant Kikuchi here against a Texas lineup that is around bottom 10 in the league against lefties at home this year. So somewhere in that, middle to lower half of the league of where they are. But that's enough for me to back Houston to score enough here against Urena. First 5 money line, Houston Astros, best bet.
Houston Astros starting the game off strong. No need to hang around the whole time. We're splitting it in half. First 5, the way that our man Mark Zinno is playing it. And you want to grab that 2-pack because, as he said, continued excellence. 8-0 run. Nothing to sneeze at. Our man on the warning wager are crushing it. You can check that out right here on the channel. More reasons than ever to hit that subscribe button. You got the morning wager. The opening line report is back. As I mentioned earlier, bet on it coming back right around the corner. So football season is nigh. If you haven't subscribed already, this is the time to do it because we're going to keep getting you these baseball winners. But, of course, all the football content that you know and love coming your way for free right here on the WagerTalk TV YouTube channel. Houston, first 5 money line best bet for Zinno. Trig, what do you got locked and loaded over at the page? I mean, you've just been throwing out 4%ers on this show like it's candy. So what else do you have over at your page, wt.buzz/AT? And also, what do you have for a best bet in Marlins and Reds? It's going to be the 3rd game of this 4-game set. And so far, it's been all Reds. So do we finally get a punch back here from the Marlins at a nice plus money price? What are you thinking in this one? And why should folks partner with you over at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, I mean, I've given you the only play I've locked in so far for this afternoon. Diamondbacks in game 1, minus 102. It's a 4% play. I hit my play this morning, Samsung Lions, so winner in KBO. If you check out our monthly specials, you get the KBO, you get MLB, and you get NFL preseason, which starts this weekend. At least starts for me. I didn't play the Hall of Fame game, but I was 6-2 in the NFL preseason last year. Added 15 units of profit in football before the football season even started, and I'll be very active in the preseason again this year. Probably 9-10 plays again. I expect to win again, and you'll get that with the monthly special. Which gets you a month free right now. If you through, I believe it's August 11th, you can buy 2 months and get one free. Definitely suggest checking that out, whether it's for me, for Zinno, or any of the other handicappers at WagerTalk. Now, as far as my best bet for the show, on Monday, I had the Reds as my best bet for this show, which I've been on all week so far. That cashed, and I'm going to go back to this series here, but I'm going to look toward the Marlins. So I will say that the books have absolutely nailed the pricing of this series, which is, the reason that the Reds was not on my client card on Monday. I felt like I was overpaying a little bit, having to lay, I think it was minus 140, but it turns out that would have been the right move. They won easily, was never close. And here, I'm surprised, I thought with the Marlins getting pounded the last 2 days that I might have gotten a cheap plus 1.5 because that's really how I wanted to play this. I wanted to plus 1.5 with the Marlins, but the books are really competitively pricing the Marlins. I think the books are tuned into the fact that this is a much better Marlins team now than the team that the Marlins put on the field, April through June. And so that's why this number is where it is. Combination of the books have the Marlins pegged correctly, and I think it took some sharp money to drive it from plus 130 or plus 125 down to the plus 115 range where it is now. So take that for what it is. I don't know if you're getting the right price on the Marlins right now, but it's certainly the way I would lean in this game. Now, the Reds the last 2 days. Sure enough, I needed the Reds for a client play on Sunday. They can't get a runner home from third. Last 2 days, beer league softball. 18 runs, everyone's hitting homers, just putting up crooked numbers left and right. And it's kind of like what they've done this year. They beat up bad teams and bad pitching. They're 28-18 against teams under 500, which, again, the Marlins certainly qualify there. But they've also beat up bad pitching. And I don't know that they beat up Bellozo today because they haven't really seen him. And I think his stuff is strong. He makes competitive pitches. That's the one thing I can say from watching him at Jacksonville this year and then watching him in his 3 big league starts. He makes competitive pitches. It allows him to stay in the game. So far, 3 starts, all 3 have been 5 innings. Really hasn't gotten blown up. He shut the Royals out, which is impressive to me, over 5 innings. 8 strikeouts against the Red Sox. Also impressive to me. This is probably the weakest offense that he's faced. I understand they've had a couple good days, but this is still a weak Reds offense, all things considered, especially if you can keep them off the bases. That's where they do the most damage is they lead the league in steals. Other than that, steals and some home runs, they don't do much hitting for average. And so I still think there's, an issue there that's not being, put in this line enough. Now, Andrew Abbott has really labored through his last couple starts. I mean, it is an adventure every inning with him right now. He struggles to get through 5 innings. He's throwing a lot of pitches, a lot of traffic on the base pass. And Dan, the stat that stood out to me, he's given up 21 home runs this year. It's second in the NL to Austin Gomber, who we know pitches at Coors Field. So this dude is giving up long ball after long ball. That's not a good stat for a guy that's favored on the road. So when I add all of those things up, I think the Marlins are live as an underdog. Me personally, I would have loved to have the +1.5, but I wouldn't lay juice with the Reds on the road today. So best bet for the show, Marlins money line.
Taking a little plus money to end the show. Marlins money line, the best bet for our man Adam Trigger. And you can check him out over at wt.buzz/AT. As I mentioned earlier, 2 months, you get August free. This one going till August 11th. As a birthday present to me on August 11th, check these guys out over at WagerTalk.com. 90 days of football. Basically, you're going to be getting college football, NFL. You get the rest of the MLB season here. And then if you got any cappers that are doing soccer, UFC, these end of the Olympics, get all of it under one umbrella. 2 months, and you're getting a full one free. Sooner you buy, the more free access that you're getting. That's over at WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/deals. Appreciate you tuning in, making us a part of your day. Just 20 minutes from now, Wager Talk Today coming your way. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you hang out because we got Marco D'Angelo, Jesse Shule, and Andrew McGinnis. We got some CFL talk, some NFL preseason, MLB, and college football win totals. That's coming your way on Wager Talk today. Big thanks to Mark Zinno. Big thanks to Adam Trigger. And don't worry, Wisconsin guy. Little sloppy parlay for you. That's right. Hear from Patty Johnson Trio. Did we ever find out what the name of her band is, Zinno? The Patty Johnson Trio? The Patty Johnson Experiment? Did we ever find that out?
Yeah, I think it's called Triple Stack. She's a lot to work with.
The Baconator bunch, maybe. Yeah,
does anybody have the balls to go over 6 with Scooble and Kirby on the mound in Seattle today?
6?
I do.
The total's 6?
6.
Those two offenses suck. I mean, 6 is crazy, but
man.
Yeah,
6. And it's just this year 6 is
when you see a 6, people talk
flat.
people
flat right now.
People talk about the D-Gen special being that A's game. No, the D-Gen special is betting over when you see a 6. So who has the stones to do it? Hop below in the comments. Patty Johnson.
I'll tell you what. If somebody does it, okay, and shows me a ticket and it wins, I'll send them a PGA Tour Superstore card.
There you go. Look at that. Nice to see. So find him on Twitter at Mark Zinno. Show him the ticket. Show him the winning ticket, and you could potentially get it on our way out. Yeah, that's vibing. Funny thing's enough, the first time we ever played this song on the show, someone commented on that video yesterday, and he was like, "I can't find this song anywhere. Does anyone know